So, just how big is this ice-covered continent, Antarctica? What does 5.4 million square miles actually mean? Well, it's more than the continental United States with some Canada and Mexico thrown in. Nearly half of the African continent. And as for Europe, Antarctica eats Europe all up. I should mention that while I am using Google Earth for this production, I realize there are intrinsic properties associated with digital imagery that sometimes produces artifacts. Also, the software utilizes multiple satellite shots from different angles and then interpolates the rest. Remember this so-called pyramid that made the news? I recall one writer stating that it's obviously just a mountain. The only thing obvious about it is it's definitely shaped like a pyramid. At times we will use this as a size reference. Back of goal line to back of goal line is 120 yards or about 110 meters. Crossways is 53 yards or 48 meters. Got it? Now here's one reason not to write this off so quick as just a mountain. Only a few miles away and we find this. Check that out. That may very well be artificial, folks, and ancient. Now here's something I'm finding frequently in this area. These specifically are all within just a few miles radius of each other. Here's the publicly listed bases. And that's not what we're looking at here. By the way, the temperature in Antarctica in places at times drops below a negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now check this out. It took me a minute to figure out what was going on here, but size reference to the left. I believe this is the 2010 version of this area, and it's a good one. There is just too much here to discount. Check out the headgear on this guy. I think he's about 150 yards tall. Now, if you look at the later years versions, the more current ones, and this goes for many of the other areas we'll look at as well, you might notice that if there are improvements in the definition of an object, they'll usually be skewed, or maybe the shading is terrible, or it's just too bright. Awkwardly bright, in fact. A lot of time has been spent here by image doctors. It's a big landmass. But just as with Mars, they don't cover it 100%. We are still on that one mountainside, by the way, and surrounding area. A lot more going on here than just breaking ice. Now here's something that sometimes happens when zooming in, and it's frustrating. So here I had to remove this and blow it up over in Photoshop. a couple of miles across right here. There's something underneath that ice, folks, and it's big. Now, you may think I'm a strange person, but this is a strange area. I'd like you to see something specific. See that area where the ice is broken away? Something seems to be inside there. But does anyone else see that? I'm not saying that's a bearded human standing there, because he'd have to be about a half of a football field tall. What is that? Okay, that flat surface in the middle is a few hundred yards left to right. Now check this out. Am I just insane? Because I don't think that's an accident. Okay, we're going to ditch the mainland for a minute and hop a couple of islands. Now, this first stop is actually still in the Antarctic Circle. And I'll just shut up for a minute and let the pictures do the talking. I don't know what this is, and here's a reverse angle. Now let's visit this sub-Antarctic island because it recently made the news. Why? Well, because of this. Remember? It was quickly called a crashed spacecraft by some, and then countered by a geologist who claimed it was obviously a large chunk of ice. Why is there so many people that are saying things are so obvious? Because I don't think it's either one of the two. I think those are either tracks, as in rails, or something underneath has become partially exposed. And the mountain from which it extends is nothing normal at all. Same island, different mountain. Just right of center is a possible entrance. And then there's this guy. My interpretation is that he may be holding a shield, and he may wear a very tall headdress. Remember this from earlier? Very similar style. You know, it doesn't take a big imagination to see this. Don't kid yourself. Here's some of the many openings, entrances, or possibly even ventilation ports. They are here and on the main continent. Now this looks very similar to what we see on the main continent. This is not a known research facility. Now this is a very strange opening with apparent artificial areas. Look above it and you'll find these large spaced apart objects, and at the very top is whited out. With this one visible component that seems to sort of attach to the edge. Now, back to the main continent. A lot of people have the misconception that Antarctica is nothing but ice. The fact is, it's just mostly covered with ice, sometimes up to a mile thick. Size reference to the left. I'm fairly convinced that we are looking at an ancient, possibly flash-frozen civilization down there. Now, I feel as if, this may have been a reservoir, but that's speculation. But can you see the contour here? Again, this is what I mean by whiteout. Notice a block and contoured area at the bottom, but the top we're just not going to be allowed to see it, and I'm sure there's good reason. Something large is nestled into an area that appears to be created for it. This object is a half a mile long. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but this simply cannot be a Star Destroyer, because those things are about 3 times as big. I'm kidding, of course. Kinda, sorta. Come on, folks. That's architecture. Now, we've only been over a few very minute sections of this enormous landmass. More to come on this subject soon. If you find something interesting, send me the coordinates at the specified email address in the description, or even a KMZ file. Let's get interactive, folks. And that, in fact, is my plan for the very near future. This is about you, not me. So until next time, please stay real.